Hey, this is Mike.
Hey, this is Kaz, and you're listening to Two Book Watch Snobs, the only watch podcast that wants to know if it's possible to learn this power, not from a Jedi. You have made it all the way up to episode 284.
Welcome.
Hi.
Welcome. To the podcast that consistently gives you content and regular updates. We're so glad you're here.
Yeah, thank you for joining our routine weekly episode. Listen, TBWS doesn't die. We just hibernate.
Yeah.
Remember, we're out of hybrid. Now we're out. Never remember that. I was gonna do a John Wick quote. Everyone keeps asking me if I'm back, and I'm thinking, yeah, I think I'm back. But I'm like, I'll do the Jedi quote. Not from a Jedi.
We got two.
This has been a ton of fun. What's up?
We got 2 quotes today. That's good.
We got 2 quotes today. Yeah, I did it anyway. This is going to be a ton of fun, everyone. Huge thank you to everyone that obviously wrote in, see if we were okay. We've been sort of poking our Instagram again to let everyone know that we're getting the show back up and running. Obviously, Michael and I do this show in our free time, which to me is becoming an even more comedic concept given the growing family and work. So this notion of free time doesn't really exist. It's more like scraps. Just scraps of my day. I can consolidate into a pile of scraps in front of me, and what's left of these scraps is me time. And usually me time, it goes into like 1 or 2 in the morning, and then I got to be up at 6. And me time just eats away everything else. But huge thank you to everyone. I made a couple posts on Instagram, and I thought it was going to be crickets. I thought it was going to just not reply, but actually we got a lot of nice responses to everyone.
I saw a very, very nice comment you, I think, did a screenshot of. That was cool.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That was awesome. Yeah, so huge shout out, huge thank you. And also it sounds like a ton of folks have still been discovering the show, and you've been going back and listening to the old episodes, like OG TBW's episodes. First of all, bless you for going back and listening to those episodes. While raucous and very funny, man, I think some of them are pretty rough.
Yeah, some of them are rough.
Some of them are pretty rough.
With like the 2009 MacBook on GarageBand kind of stuff.
I forgot you were recording on that.
Yeah, that thing.
That's amazing.
Wild.
So huge shout out if you started listening and you're working your way here. If you get here, sweet. You didn't have to deal with the 4 to 5 month drought of episodes that the rest of the TBWs I have to deal with. But regardless, go and definitely watch the show on YouTube as well, because Michael and I are posting the show on YouTube. To that end, if you don't follow us on YouTube, you probably missed the episode that we apparently only posted on YouTube.
Yeah, that was my
episode.
I got deported.
No, don't make those jokes. We did the episode 281, and then we did episode 283. 283 was only posted on YouTube. So there's now going to be a schism within the TBWS family of those who think we died after 281 and those who think we died after 283. If you're wondering where episode 282 is and you didn't listen to episode 283, that's a very complicated story. Needless to say,
you got to listen to 283.
You got to listen to 283, and then you'll understand what happened to 282.
Yeah, that was a weird time. YouTube. We did a naughty with the YouTube.
We're so bad. We're so bad at YouTube.
I don't know if I want to be good.
Really bad. That's fair. That's very fair. But this is going to be a ton of fun. Episode 284 of the Two Broke Watch Snobs podcast. We're going to do a topic that's actually very near and dear to Michael's heart that I'm kind of surprised we've never really talked about on the show. I think we've talked about it peripherally, but we've never really kind of hit at the heart of it, because we actually do get people asking us this question all the time. Episode 284 of the Two Broke Watch Snobs podcast is thusly named: Are luxury watch brands even worth it? I want to get into this idea of really even defining what a luxury watch brand is, and then getting into some of those luxury watch brands that Michael and I think actually are worth it. We're also going to define what the fuck worth it even means. I think worth it can sometimes have a purely a financial connotation, which obviously makes fucking sense, but at the same time, I think it's a little more multifaceted than that. And then just so folks are aware, we're going to be using a piece we have on the website where we talk about like top affordable luxury watch brands. We're going to be using that piece of content from the website to kind of control the conversation that we're be having here, because that's something that we ended up doing a bit of a refresh on in the spirit of we refreshed that piece of content in the spirit of this episode. But first, Michael, do you want to shake off the cobwebs and do an audio wrist check with me?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember how to share. Let's see. I do want to do an audio wrist check with you.
Well, sharing starts with opening your heart and knowing you're in a safe space.
Yeah, I'd like to share something. Oh wait.
What is this? Is this just...
Sorry, I was looking for a new wallpaper. Wait, that's not it.
You had to put like a heart. You got to put like Snapchat bubble hearts around.
Let me try that again.
If you're only listening to the audio of this episode, please go and check out the video.
Just like inspiration. So
that's awesome.
Today I'm wearing the
yes,
not this one,
yes.
Not the one that we see. I'm wearing the Seiko Turtle. I don't know what the newest reference is, but it's if you read the review that we have on the website that I'm pulling up here, you'll know that I've had like 5 of these.
You've had a lot.
And the reference I have now is the latest update, but it's just the black dial Seiko Turtle, and I'm wearing it on this really cool hook and loop strap from Watches of Espionage, and it's just such a cool combo.
Oh, cool. It's it's like SPY something, the most recent one, isn't it?
I think it's SRPB, maybe. Turtle.
I think the SRP ones are gone. I think with some of the changes at Seiko, the references have changed.
Yeah, I don't even know. The interesting update between this old one that I have on the screen now and the one I have over at 3:00 by the date window, they added this like mini hour index that tries to kind of balance out the dial a little bit, and I like it a lot more. But it's let's see,
is it the SRPE93?
That's the one. That's
the one. There you go. SRPE93.
And this is just a really nice the Watches of Espionage Velcro. I don't know what he calls it, but I got it a while.
I was gonna say it looks like it's Velcro. Is it Velcro?
Yeah, it's
that's kind of cool.
And I tried to do I tried to get one of those really old authentic Velcro dive straps, and I was just too dumb to figure out how to put it on, so I gave them away. And then I saw he came out with this, and it looked really perfect, and it's just a great combo. The bummer about this watch is that it doesn't run as well as the last one that I had. You know,
really?
And you'll find
same
that
same movement,
4R36 or whatever it is now. But yeah, that one was pretty on point. This one, I gotta set it like a minute ahead if I'm.
Well, goddamn. Well, what you're describing is also a facet of the Prospects lines. QC has been spotty in amongst Prospect pieces for as long as I can remember, and so it's things like the big joke is always, you know, chapter rings, misaligned or the misaligned bezels or whatever, and like you can all that does also extend to movements as well. It doesn't necessarily mean it's bad, you know, because you hear something like, oh, sometimes the QC isn't great. It's like, well, I don't want to buy that. Like, it's like, well, it's fine. Like, it's to me, it's still, because like you get that watch for under $500. Actually, you can probably find that watch for like $350 or under $400. And like for what that watch is, for what you get, it's amazing.
It's so good,
you know.
And honestly, I just had to accept that I was always going to have one of these, you know, just, I was so misguided before just selling them and looking for different versions and different dials and date wheels and all that kind of stuff. But, you know, just the black dial turtle is so perfect. It's been throughout all of our episodes. I can't even remember when I got my first one. I think I may have been living in Oklahoma when I got the first one.
Wow.
Actually, and I had it shipped there. But it's such a cool watch, and I've just been noticing that I wear it for longer amounts of time now. Whenever I pull it out.
Intrinsically as an object, it is fantastic. When you're aware, or at least even like vaguely plugged into the history of Seiko divers, it is even more fantastic, in my opinion. You know what I mean? Like once you just learn about the lineage and everything in regards to, you know, what was it, the 6139 in the 70s that came out originally, and like from it's a 603 or 6139. I think it's 6139, right?
Something like that.
Something like that.
6039. Man, we're bad at this.
It's a free show. This is no different than people just yelling on the street corner.
Yeah,
you just keep on walking.
6039.
6039.
I've stopped learning reference numbers. That's part of my evolution as a collector. I don't care anymore.
I think it depends. Sometimes it's important to know some reference numbers, but like, I think if you're someone that really likes this idea of dive watch history that might be sort of adjacent, not adjacent, but necessarily might not be a little more contrarian than what you'd expect from like typical like Swiss watch dive watch history or like European dive watch history, if you're really to the idea of this actual workhorse dive watch history piece and you want to own something that speaks to the lineage of just a really cool dive watch brand, that turtle is still amazing. For the price, it is crazy. You know?
Yeah, so, and as much as we complain about Seiko modern pricing and all of that, they do at least kind of still keep this space within the prospects line carved out for pretty approachable price tag.
I don't want to talk about what happened to the Sumo. What the fuck happened to Sumo pricing?
I don't know.
Right?
But that's another one that I really like. I was wearing the green one.
You have the green one.
All last week. I pull it out just every once in a while, and it's just so good. It's a bit much on the bracelet, but I just wore it on a plain black NATO strap. I really want to get the Seiko OEM soft silicone vented strap.
Yep.
But they're like $160 if you get the strap itself.
What?
Maybe I'll get a copy or something, but yeah, those prices went up. They started doing GMTs. Those are pricey.
I saw there's a quartz. I think it's a quartz GMT they have now for something like that. I don't think it's automatic.
They have that too. It's hard to keep up with Seiko these days. I'm not really sure where I'm supposed to look, but yeah, this one,
Instagram.
Yeah, that's. I guess so. It's something I'm staying away from.
I'll do it. I'll be social media Jesus, and I'll take this one for the Two Broke Watch Knobs, and I will be on Instagram. Oh no, it's funny. I've actually tried to do this. I'm trying to get myself to be on it for at least a half hour a day to just keep plugged into what's happening, to talk with folks who message us, and to make sure that the sex bots aren't too lonely, because we get a lot of sex bots messaging us.
I haven't looked in so long.
You have to think if 100 sex bots message you, maybe 5 are real. I don't know.
And if you're a brand, I'm so sorry. I don't even know our password, honestly.
That was the funniest thing. I was trying to figure out our password to Instagram, and I messaged Michael, and he's like, isn't it this? I'm like, I don't know. I think that's for something else. And so eventually we figured out how to get into our own Instagram again. But yeah, so but no, I think it's we can do a whole topic on this. I'll talk a little bit about it, and then I promise I'll do my wrist check. It is so interesting to me, the amount of brands who do their focused outreach and business purely on Instagram and Facebook.
Blows my mind.
Like they don't go and update their blogs very often, or like send out emails that are logical or coherent. I will say huge shout out to Trasco Watches. It's John, right? Over at Trasco Watches. Mm-hmm. Fantastic emails.
Yeah. We just got one
today.
Actually.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying it. I think I think his approach to outreach and communicating with his audience is actually really cool. And every time I get one of those emails, they actually are cool. They actually are fun to read. So if you're at all interested in the brand, I would go and check that. But for the most part, everyone else, like not everyone else, I shouldn't say that because I'm going to get some really fucking angry emails if I read my emails. But like I think the majority of people just default to just doing business on Instagram and Facebook. It's so interesting. I mean, but it also makes sense. You can immediately get some kind of response from someone as opposed to fill out this form on our website and we'll get back to you in 20 to 48 business days. And you're like, wait, it's Memorial Day. Is today a business day, or do I have to wait till Wednesday? What if I'm not in the US? Is it Memorial Day for me too?
How old we're getting, man. I'm like, Instagram? Really? What happened to email?
I love telling people this. Do you remember encyclopedias? Do you remember encyclopedias?
I think my parents did fall for the box set.
I had box set.
Door-to-door salesman type thing.
If I had to do a book report, I went and I bust out the Encyclopedia Britannicas, and God forbid the migration patterns of, Gulf of Mexico octopi had changed from 1984 when those were published, because if they did, well, my book report was going to be wrong. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, book reports. Those are the days.
But now, if the migratory patterns of like red octopus and red squid or whatever changed from Jan 2025 to Jan 2024, you fucking know about that shit, and your book report is like accurate.
Tight.
God. Tight? Fucking shit, dude. Back in my day, the stench of old paper and sorrows you cracked open in the Encyclopedia Britannica. Should I do my wrist check? That's a good wrist check.
Yeah.
I should do my wrist check. I don't know if people can tell just from me waving my fucking pool noodle arms around. I'm wearing my Manta Triumph green dial.
That's beautiful.
See if I can get this in the light properly. This is my dad watch. It was a long and relatively arduous journey from the comfort of my couch, scrolling and pressing buttons. It was a long journey to get to the Manta Triumph as my dad watch. I love it.
That clasp is still super.
Can you still hear it?
Yes. I heard that so loud. It's crazy.
It is. A lot of stuff gets said about the bracelet, and I think almost to the point where some people are like, "Oh, okay, we're good." Actually, it is amazing. It's one of those things where I'm continually excited by what the brand puts out. I feel really fulfilled with just owning this one watch from them. I will say, and we were talking about this off air. They were teasing like a summer like cool collection, cool summer vibes or something like that, and all the visual media for it on like Instagram and stuff like that. I might be crazy, and I don't know if you looked, but all the colors were like Kaz teal. So there was no images of watches, but it was images of like a sunset and everything like that. Oh, okay. What is this? Is this their Instagram?
This looks like their Instagram is being pulled in here, but I'm not seeing that one.
These are all shopping listings from their Instagram that's getting pulled onto the plugin feed that they're using for their site. If you just go to Instagram and open it on the browser, you'll probably see it.
Let's see.
I forgot we could screen share.
Nope. Why is Instagram such a walled garden, man? You have to log in.
What happened? Oh, just open a new tab.
It is a new tab.
Oh, really? Is something making you log in? Fuckers.
Yeah. Whatever. It's fine.
Whatever. It's fine. Trust us. Just go to Manta's Instagram. And so it would be like, it's like an animated picture of like a sunset or like a beach. And it was very much in the color palette of Kaz teal. And my failing lipid encrusted heart fluttered and felt alive for the first time in a long time. I'm like, is there going to be a Kaz teal Manta? No. But there is a very cool, like, it's like an aqua. Nah, it's like a turquoise. It's like a really cool. They did the what was it, the which one was it? It was one of the kings.
The Ocean King. Yeah.
Ocean King. I believe it was I'm pretty sure.
Oh, here
it was that one right there on your screen.
Right here.
Yep.
Look at that.
It is still really fucking cool.
Yeah,
that is very, very sweet. Cool. So I thought it was going to be a Kaz teal watch, and I was very excited. But it wasn't. It's still very cool. Yeah, it's very, very cool.
Dude, did you see this one?
What was I going to say? I forgot what I was going to say.
They actually, I mean, I still go back to the SkyQuest, obviously, but
oh yeah,
they did the classic Pepsi, no guilt.
Wow,
it's so tempting.
You reviewed this. You've reviewed this watch a couple of times, haven't you?
I reviewed the Coke bezel
Black and
version.
Gilt. Okay, that's
Yeah.
what it was.
So that was this one right here.
Really so sweet. Cool. You know what's so funny about this watch? It looks like it's
okay. If this worked out, there might be a weird jump cut somewhere.
There might be a weird jump cut.
We don't know what's gonna happen. We were talking about watches. We were talking about feelings, all the things that we usually do.
And then our software stopped recording.
It'd be really funny if this is what posts, by the way. Just starting the episode like this. This would be perfect.
Didn't even know what we're talking about.
This would be perfect.
Didn't even have your wrist check. I'm in the middle of my wrist check.
All right.
I'm wearing the Monta Triumph. All right.
It's good. And we're going to talk about our luxury watch brands. Even worth it.
Are we really going to post the episode from here? It's going to be so odd.
No, I'm going to try my best.
We're going to figure something out.
Thank you, Riverside, for just randomly stopping.
That's fine. That's cool. Fine. It's a good thing we don't pay for Riverside Pro. Oh, wait. We do.
Welcome to Two Broke Watch Snobs, episode 280 something.
284. You have made all the way to episode 284. Where we're going to be talking about are luxury watch brands even worth it? Just a quick recap in case this is for some horrible reason the actual episode. Mike is wearing the Seiko SRPE 93 for his wrist check. I'm wearing the Monta Triumph for mine. And you missed a really cool Star Wars quote.
Yeah.
In the beginning of the show.
Yeah. We'll figure it out. We'll do it.
But no, I'm wearing the Monta Triumph. I still think Monta holds a very interesting spot in the microbrand world. I want to do another topic on microbrands because I do think the climate around, just in terms of business operation, it's just leaving a lot of questions, in my opinion, around some microbrands' capacity to continue existing, if I could say it in a really fucking crazy ass way like that. I do think it does merit revisiting the topic, but I do still think if you're into the idea of getting a micro brand, but you want something that's not necessarily, how can I phrase it? If you want something that's maybe akin to, in terms of quality that you would get from a quote unquote like luxury watch brand, like Maison de Horlogerie watch brand, then like if you didn't want to buy from a giant brand, you could totally get a Monta, and you're. I one of my favorite quotes from someone actually it was Aaron. It was Aaron Shapiro. Aaron Shapiro, TBWS fan and contributor extraordinaire. I told him I got this watch, and he was like, dude, those are fantastic. The only difference between that and a Rolex is there's no crown on it. There's no little crown on the dial. I'm like, fair enough, dude. Straight up. That might sound egregious or like fucking whatever, dude, but like, it is a really nice watch, honestly.
Yeah, great, and I think micros have gone so far.
We've talked about this. Yeah,
they're hitting 10-year anniversaries. You're seeing the ones that are still around go the distance, and really go up against some of the more mainstream stuff that you get in like Tag Heuer or Tudor, things like that.
Yeah.
And when you get down to it, that really is the difference. Sometimes you don't have the crown on the dial. You don't have the storied history.
Yes. Yeah. I think we could use that to transition to the main topic. Because I think in order for us to talk about luxury watch brands that are even worth it, one of the things that generally tends to divide a quote unquote luxury watch brand from something like a micro brand is this idea of the story. Oh, you're buying a Rolex. You're buying the continuous engineering history of the watch that mounted Mount Everest. Maybe. I guess that's still not too sure.
Yeah. We'll never know.
Which was the first watch up there. We'll never know unless you were there. Or something. I'm not entirely sure. You know what I mean? So, and like, it's the same thing with you could enter into the annals of race car history just by putting on a Tag Heuer. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's this idea of you're buying into this concept of what the brand represents. So you do pay money for that. You pay money for a story. But I say that making it very clear, I don't think that's a bad thing. I don't think it's a bad thing if you knowingly pay for the prestige of a watch. But, and this is where the difference really kind of, I think, um, can become apparent when you start to really analyze the idea of luxury watch brands. There are some luxury watch brands which really only the story is their merit. If you extract the story from the object you're getting in terms of a piece of engineering of engineered technology you wear on your wrist, is it still worth it? Is there still something about the watch apart from the story that makes it worth whatever the price tag is? And so there's some brands where that is obviously true. We're going to talk about some of them, and again, go and check out the piece I have on the website. We kind of use, these are all brands that we've reviewed and we've had on wrist, and some we've owned, mainly Michael. I've had a couple of watches on the on that list, I think.
Yeah, that makes
some other.
That makes me think about Omega and the Speedmaster, where there's almost more story than watch in that case.
100%.
They are.
Oh, yeah.
They are just
first watch in space.
They're just hammering that story in, and I think, it's a cool, sporty black dial chronograph, which you can get everywhere, honestly.
Yeah.
But because of that story, Omega's never going to drop it. They're going to take the equity that they've built in that and just push that into the sales funnel, and
if
really
you're
pull people in.
And this is just me kind of talking from my point of view. I find the Seamaster line more interesting in terms of story, engineering, design variations, and value than the Speedmaster. You know what I mean? There's just so much in terms of, I think, different models, different collections, different changes. Also, a lot of the technology and things like that, how it's evolved over the years. That's actually a really good point. There are brands that we're going to talk about where not everything from them represents, quote unquote, something worth it. Yeah. And I think, is that Nor? Hey, Nor.
She's going to hide. This is so good.
This is a great episode. There are going to be some brands where not everything is what we kind of feel, quote unquote, worth it. I think Omega is actually a really interesting one to start with. I don't think there's any other luxury watch brand out there that is kind of, quote unquote, massively available. And by massively available, I mean, you don't have to fly somewhere to look at the watch for the most part. You don't have to make an appointment. You should be able to drive within 50 or 100 miles of where you are, at least to try to look at a watch in person, depending on the situation. Or at least I'm speaking purely as, obviously, U.S. centric. Like, we're based here in the United States. I don't think any other watch brand has that amount of accessibility that also really tends to go over and out of their way to just push also engineering technology. I'm speaking really in regards to the movement. I think the master coax piece, the coaxial escapement, kind of that's really just become normal. I think all the different because Omega is it Omega or Tudor that does Metas certification or cost?
They both do it.
They do both. They both do it now. You know what I'm saying? So like, I think Omega goes out of their way to try to give you more in your watch than just like something, and you just go and just buy a watch. I do believe that, and I do that in comparison to something like just like an entry level like Rolex sub. Like I find an Omega Seamaster more interesting and more appropriately valued than an entry level sub. Also, given the difference of about $9,000 or $10,000 between the two of them, truthfully, depending on which models of which piece you're looking. But entry level sub is like, it's got to be like, I'm talking just like black dial on like black dial, black bezel, whatever the fuck it is now. It's like $13,000 or $14,000, isn't it?
Well, I mean, it's not supposed to be, but technically,
there's what is and what is supposed to be.
Yeah, technically, that's a $9,500 watch.
Yeah, if you find that watch for $9,500, buy it and then immediately sell it.
Yeah,
for $5,000 profit.
Don't do that. That makes me sad. And
no one's going to find it for $9,500. It's impossible.
And the Seamasters are getting up there in price, but I get what you're saying. We can get mad about Omega's pricing strategy and how that's evolving, but then you see some of the pushes that they're doing for movement certification, just the movement architecture, the history behind that, the escapement. And I get to thinking like, okay, I kind of I still get it, price wise. And to your point, it is a lot more interesting than a black sub.
And I'm also talking for the most part of just getting something. If you can find something through a gray market or a third party dealer and it's reputable and it's used and it's a good price, it's fine. Like if you bought from like David SW or from like any of the big ones, like, you know, not Watchbox, they changed their name again. They changed their name again, Michael.
Did they?
Yes.
Oh, it's like 1916 watch.
It's like the 1916 company or something like that. Yeah. I can't keep track of it.
Yeah. Oh well.
Again, they changed the name again, dude. What was I gonna say? If you find it from like a reputable dealer or like someone that's like, you can get. I would much rather buy an Omega Seamaster used through someone trusted than to walk in a store and buy it new. You know, depending on the situation. If it's a particular model and maybe it's a brand new model, and I really want some free espresso with my watch and some bland conversation with someone that probably doesn't really want to be there, sure, I'll go into a store and I'll buy the fucking watch. But for the most part, I might try it on in the store, or if it's a watch that I know I like, I'll just buy it online. But I'm not gonna. I very rarely encourage folks to buy something in the boutique.
Yeah, unless
depending on the situation.
Yeah, unless that experience is important to you in some way. Like I did.
That's part of the value. Yeah.
Technically, I did the dumbest thing you could do with a Panerai, which is just like buying new.
But you bought it in Italy.
Yeah. That was
You didn't buy it at the Reeds in Chattanooga, Tennessee, or whatever. I don't know if Chattanooga has a Reeds or whatever the fuck. You know what I mean? But like, you bought it in Italy. You bought it in specifically like their headquarters, didn't you?
Florence. Yeah, their flagship boutique.
Yeah. Aaron Shapiro bought his Nomos in the Nomos headquarters in Germany.
That's pretty damn cool. Yeah,
that's fucking cool. That's part of the experience.
But you know, I was trying to think of a brand that tries to lean into story way too much. So we see Omega doing it, where in some cases that's valid and maybe plays into whether or not the brand is worth it. I would actually argue that Panerai tries to lean into that story, but it's almost not really all that worth it.
Right.
From that angle of the discussion. It's not something I really thought about when I was looking up the Luminor.
I don't think anyone does. I don't think anyone's just like, dude, I'm buying into the history of Italian frogmen World War II divers. Like, no, it looks cool. You buy it because it looks cool, man.
Maybe Sylvester Stallone thought that a little bit. He probably thought that was pretty cool.
So Panerai is a fascinating brand in that there is a trademark ethos of that design. There's a classic sense of that design of the watch. It's the shape of the case, and for the most part, it's the crown guard. You'll obviously have the radio mirrors, which I still can't tell if they're phasing out or not, or if they just don't do them very often. But the radio mirrors don't have the crown guards, but they still have that chunky cushion Panerai case.
They're really deprioritized right now. If you look at the two collections side by side on the website, there's like 40 Luminors and like 10 radio mirrors.
So there's a core essence of the Luminor design, which is probably the what everyone thinks of when they think of Panerai. If I just focus on the watch shape and its design, this is just me, so send your fucking hate mail courtesy to www.gofuckyourself. But I don't really feel there's that much of a difference between the model that you purchased, which was the 777, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or 7777, whatever, the updated generation with like the 100-meter water resistance or whatever.
Yeah,
that watch captures that core essence of the brand in the most accessible price point of the brand. I don't see that much of a difference between buying that and then spending $10,000 or $12,000 on something crazy from them unnecessarily. If you like the way the Panerai looks, if your goal with the Panerai is just to own a Panerai because you think they look cool, buy the cheapest fucking Panerai you can find.
Yeah, that's a good point because you do get
that's just my opinion.
you do get that core essence at the base intro collection. There's still those two wolves inside of me though. The one that wants is just cool with the base logo version, and the one that wants the GMT mono pusher.
I was gonna say
blacked out.
You do like that watch a lot,
but it's $21,000 new when they were still available, and just completely unnecessary. When just the other one gets me my Panerai fix whenever I feel like feeling that.
Right, because the one that you have still hits the marker of like, oh yeah, this is a Panerai. Like obviously, yeah. What is it? Is the one you're talking about the black GMT one? Is it the Monoposante?
Yeah.
Monoposante. Yeah. You can't say Monoposante without saying it the way I said it just then.
Yeah. I do that anytime I walk into the boutique. I say it with that inflection, and then I get looked at very weirdly.
They very nicely escort you back out. But I guess, but this is where the idea of worth it / value comes into play. Why do you want to own a Panerai? Do you want to own a Panerai because you like design, or do you want to buy a Panerai to tell everyone you have a Panerai? And I'm not talking about you specifically. And you want to buy like a quote unquote cool Panerai, or not a Panerai you see everywhere. If that's the case, then just give people $12,000, which is probably a better way of using that money. If you really like the design of a watch, just get the cheapest version of that watch, dude. Don't spend more than fucking $5,000. It's a piece of it's metal, and not even a lot of metal. It's a little bit of metal and like some glass and shit.
Yeah, and you see that with the Seamaster also, because there are a ton of variations.
Yes, you're very true. Yeah, you're very right.
You know, there's just the steel with the wave dial, and those are obviously really nice, but they have people, you don't see them, or you don't see people really talk about them, but I think there are titanium versions. I think there are two-tone versions or full precious metal versions.
Do you know why you don't see people talk about the two-tone version very much?
Because they're ugly.
It is the ugliest two-tone watch I have ever seen in my entire life. And I've seen Movados, bro. Okay. It's the two-tone Seamaster. And I think they're like $9,600 or something like that. Aren't they something crazy like that? Or $7,200?
Oh, I think they're probably way more than that.
Let me see. Two-tone Seamaster.
Oh, the two-tones are probably
$13,000-$14,000. Wow. Dude. Now, I was going to say, Michael, be careful how you're typing, because you were typing last time when for some reason Riverside just decided to stop recording. So
yeah, I'm using a different computer now to look stuff up.
Very good. Very cool. Yeah, dude, $14,000 to wear something, and I'm very sorry if you have this watch, fucking ugly. Like, come on, dude. For $14,000, you and I were just talking about this in the pre-show discussion, Michael. For $14,000, I can go and buy a 90s or early 2000s Belusi. I can go and buy a 5-digit Belusi, which is to me objectively the best execution of a two-tone watch in existence. If you don't even like blue and you like black, you can save a couple $1,000 and just get the black version.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
And they do have a black dial two-tone version of that watch also, which is not as pretty, but still very cool.
Right. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. So it's just like I think when you're really trying to understand what's worth it, you have to actually ask yourself, what about this watch do I like? Do I really just like the Seamaster, the Omega Seamaster format? Do I think the wave dial is cool? Do I love the bezel? Do I love the bracelet? Great. Spend as little as possible to get those to check those boxes for yourself.
Yeah.
Unless you, for some reason, really want the two-tone one, then just buy the $5,000 one and just send us the rest of the $8,000. I think that's probably the best way. If you really wanted to relieve yourself of $14,000. Hold on, how's my math on that one?
We have we'll put the Bitcoin wallet in the video description, right? That's what we do.
Oh my God. You know, every now and then I'll see like a thread on Reddit or like something dumb like that, and they'll be like, oh, if you could go back to the past, what would you do? Buy Bitcoin.
Yeah.
I think that's like the number one answer every time. And then every now and then some jerk will be like, but make sure I called my dad one last time. It's like, we're talking about Bitcoin. Get out of here, man. Come on. What are you doing? Come on, dude. What are you bring the room down for? Talking about Bitcoin and shit.
Oh,
What are you doing? No offense to anyone if they actually did that. What else? So I think Omega is really value driven. If you are interested in engineering and different material usage, they're really good in. But obviously, if you like something from Omega's line, get the cheapest version. If you like Panerai, again, Panerai does not push the boundaries of technological engineering or horology or any of that crap. They ride on the idea of the design of the watch and then maybe loosely on the history. But I think to your point, Sylvester Stallone might have been the only person that found that kind of interesting. You know what I mean?
I only got the watch because of Sylvester Stallone. If I'm being honest.
If you're listening, Mr. Stallone, thank you.
And I thought Daylight was a pretty cool movie.
We hope Panerai sends you your affiliate 5% kickback. Did you use Sly's promo code?
Sly.
You gotta use this promo code. Promo code is hashtag. You just gotta spell it. If you spell it properly, you get the watch for free.
That would be an interesting challenge, actually. Just a secret Easter egg on the website. You could do that.
It's just funny in the promo. If you can spell the sound that I just said, you get the watch for free, bro. You find a secret page on Two Broke Watch Snobs. You can just buy a watch, man.
So this watch, the logo, I guess the equivalent of what I have today is 6,400. That's rough, man. That's a lot.
Which one? The one that you got?
Yeah. I didn't pay that, but today
I was gonna say, yeah.
Today, if you were gonna get that watch, it's $6,400.
No, buy it used. But you can find it used under $5,000.
Yeah. So we talked about the boxes being checked. If the story is not one of them, if the experience is not one of them, and you're going for Panerai, I think it's really only worth it to go used. And that's the case with that's a case with a lot of watches, especially Panerai, and I think these days especially Tudor.
Oh man, yeah, you can see them. There's such amazing prices on used Tudors right now online. It's so cool. Remember all the people that were stomping their families to death for the Black Bay 58 or wherever the fuck?
Yeah.
Kill themselves to pay over retail.
And there was
Who's laughing now.
The same thing happened to the GMT when it first came out.
Yep.
You couldn't find it. There's a really good quote from James Stacy at Hodinkee. He was writing up just a piece on the Black Bay 58 GMT, and he just says Tudor is a patience game. And that's so true, man, because
that's
come
true.
Out,
hell yeah. You just wait long enough
with stuff. A year later, what everyone is just losing their minds over is going to be available just at a decent price used. And Tudor does have that story component. They have that military connection, French Navy, all this kind of stuff. But again, I don't really care about that. I just think
only connection, cool. Only Tudor story I care about, Michael, is Lady Gaga. Okay. That's the only thing you gotta tell me.
If that's really important to you, then it's a worth it brand. But
right,
if not, I would go used with Tudor, because their prices are starting to get pretty bananas as well.
Not buy used. I mean, but I would go used all day on Tudor for exactly the point that you mentioned. Like they take a beat, like so that's the really interesting thing about most of the luxury watch brands we're going to talk about. The second you drive that watch off the lot, you lose about 40-50% depending on the situation, depending on the brand. Panerai takes a huge beating, used market. Tudor takes a huge beating, used market as well. So the thing is, even if you for some reason, if you're a huge Lady Gaga fan, you can still buy the watch used. Yeah. You don't have to buy it. It's not like Lady Gaga gets a ping every time you buy a watch she promotes. Or maybe she does.
And another advantage to buying Tudor used is that increases your chances of getting the watch after the movement has broken and the previous owner has sent it
fixed.
Back and fixed or probably replaced.
Michael, is that something you have personal experience in?
Just a little bit. 2 times, man. I can't believe it.
That's why for the most part, when they're just like, oh, it's an in-house movement, I'm like, I'll pass. I'll pass.
No, thank you.
No, thank you. I'll pass.
Oh,
Very,
dude.
very few brands does that actually have like does that actually for me a value prop. The in-house movement thing, like I don't think people talk about this enough, but I can't remember who we were talking to. You and I were talking to someone. This is one of the few moments where we were actually in the same room together for a watch thing. Can't remember where we were, Michael, but we were talking to someone and they were saying no one talks about how often like MB&Fs break and like Richard Meals break, and you send them in, you got to get them fixed because they're these super intricate things. And if you fucking open your can of your can of Coke the wrong way, something might come loose, it might break.
They
Do you
do.
remember where this was?
I don't. I remember it, but I don't know who that was.
I can't. It was a long time ago, but like people don't talk about the fact that when you get these really intricate movements, they fucking you're not walking around with something built on the durability of being able to withstand you kind of briskly walking into a door jam. Like they make these things like, and if they break, you send them in, but also at the same time, you're spending a crap ton of money for a watch. You don't care how many times you have to pay money to fix it or whatever, or you don't wear it. You just fucking put it in your closet and jack off to it every time you go and change your tie or whatever. Like I don't know, but like I the in-house movement thing for me used to be cool because I thought it was something that was interesting or something that added something that I thought added value to watch because like they put their own engineering and technology into it. It's just like no, like I'd rather have someone that's been making movements for decades and decades and decades, make a movement and put it in that watch, as opposed to someone that like maybe tried to figure it out. Like I don't want to buy someone's first attempt at making a movement.
Yeah,
like, that's crazy.
And as we analyze the "is it worth it" question, I think brands will try to factor that in to their worth it story. And again, if that's not important to you, not worth it for sure. I think objectively, in many cases, it's just not worth it to look to the luxury brand space because there are more in-house efforts there. You know what I mean?
I speculate that so if you don't know anything about watches and you're listening to the show for the first time, first of all, welcome. For the most part, if you go into a boutique and a salesperson's like, oh yeah, and this has this, and this has the brand's own in-house movement, I think maybe even some watch folks, but I think most non-watch folks hear that in the same way of like, oh yeah, we grew our own basil, or like this bar makes their own bitters. Like there's this idea of like it's a superiorly crafted thing because they made it themselves. I raised my own chickens and then I stomped them to death for your fucking soup or whatever. Or how I'm not a chef. I don't know how you prepare chickens for soup. I'm assuming at some point you stomp the chickens to death.
That can work.
Just feathers and all. You just stomp them to death. You throw them in the pot with a bunch of like asphalt crumbs on them and shit like that. It's kind of it'll boil away. It's soup. It's fucking hot in there. All right. No one's ever going to eat my cooking now. If anyone ever comes to Kaz's house for dinner, I'll order out. Don't worry.
I've seen him do it.
You see me stomp chickens to death?
Yeah. It's true.
Be like, Kaz, I'm not even hungry. What do you mean? I'm just doing this. Do you not just stomp God's living creatures when you're just remotely bored? I don't understand, dude. But I think when people hear in-house movement, they connote it with this idea of something more superiorly crafted because they didn't buy it off the shelf. But with the movement, I want someone that's been doing it forever. I want an Etta movement. I want a Salida movement, depending on the situation. Unless it is a brand, you know what in-house movement I will always fucking trust because I own one and it still fucking amazes me every time I wear it. Those 9F quartz, the Grand Seiko 9F quartz, all fucking day.
I mean, they've been
in-house all fucking day.
Yeah.
Grow their own quartz crystals. Those things are thermocompensated. You can actually you can service those things. They're sealed to keep out dust and to keep lube in. Like the amount of engineering that goes into those quartz movements is totally worth it. That is what. And what's funny is, Grand Seiko, it is on our list of watches. That makes sense, but not all Grand Seikos. Like I don't need to pay $10,000 for spring that only happens between two mountain peaks in the remote mountains of Japan for like a week, and it's a high beat mechanical movement. Like I don't have to pay $10,200 for that. I'll pay $2,000-3,000 for a 9F quartz in a beautiful color, which is what I literally did. I bought my Kaz Teal 9F quartz SBG V233. I fucking love that watch. You know what I mean? So if you do value the idea of buying something, so what boxes would Grand Seiko? It's not Swiss. It's not European. It's technically what I would call. Sorry, everyone at Grand Seiko, but fucking whatever, dude. You guys suck. Fringe luxury. It's not in the same realm. Like no one thinks, oh man, I just retired. I'm gonna get a Grand Seiko. I just try. I'm gonna go to a Rolex. I'm gonna go buy a tag. I just closed this great deal. I'm gonna go get a Rolex. I'm gonna go buy an Omega. I'm not gonna buy a Grand Seiko. I mean, I probably would because we're watch people, but I'm talking about like regular, non-watch fucked up folks.
Well, I think the Grand Seiko story is getting out there a little more aggressively these days. And I think I figured that out the last time I was in Miami and realized that the boutique was just right next door to Rolex.
Oh yeah, it's right in the design district. It's like yeah, you can literally take a few steps and get from one to the other one.
And they're playing in that space more and more these days to where I think that might actually happen. But is it worth it? I think with Grand Seiko it is. I think the story is worth it as well. Again, it's one of those things where you don't really have to dish out for the craziest high beat version or whatever.
No. Yeah.
Especially as you know, and one thing they play into a lot are those crazy dials that they do. And you get them with spring drive, you get them with the high beat stuff, but you also get it with the 9F stuff. And thinking about the new baby snowflake they came out with.
Was it 36 millimeters, something like that?
I think it's 37, and it's
beautiful.
So nice.
Totally beautiful.
Wanted to take that watch home, but I could not.
What is it? Is it 30? Is it how much is that watch?
Let's see on our website on a different computer, Riverside. It's a SBGX 355, and the price is
Control F $.
3,800, probably more these days because I think they just did a price increase.
Probably, but again, I would be patient and I would wait to buy that watch used.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Because like, it's 3,900 now.
Bastards. God. But yeah, I think with Grand Seiko, I would spend. If it were me, I would only buy a 9F quartz from Grand Seiko. Not to say that the spring drive isn't cool and that some of their in-house high beat stuff isn't cool, but I just think when you start getting into some of these crazy high numbers, these crazy high prices, it's a bit hard, in my opinion, to justify. Like,
yeah,
you can still hang amazing in-house movement technology dong with a 9F quartz. Arguably more with the amount of like there's a series of, I'm not wearing it now. I was about to shoot my wrist as I'm wearing it now. There's a series of motors in the 9F quartz to reduce the amount of times the second hand bounces when it ticks. You ever seen it? I mean, I know, Michael, you have. You're nodding, but everyone at home, if you've ever seen a cheap ass quartz watch, which is probably every quartz watch you've ever handled, unless you knowingly are in possession of a high accuracy quartz watch from like the handful of brands that offer them. But most of the cheap quartz watches, when they bounce, they have like a diving board wiggle. They go brr, brr. The 9F quartz has a series of motors that counteract that movement, so it just ticks and doesn't bounce.
And you know what that is? That's that component of luxury that's completely unnecessary.
Yes, but it's cool.
And that when you're trying to evaluate luxury, I think that's a trait that you try to analyze anytime that you can. This aspect of whatever I'm evaluating is luxurious and completely unnecessary, and it's contributing to the overall luxury. So
it's actually really cool. That's a really cool luxury watch brand box to like call out, like a facet of something that makes something a luxury watch that is features something unnecessary.
Yeah.
I love that. And that, I think, of the many options we have, that motor counteracting the bounce for the Nine of Quartz is Grand Seiko's, version of that. So,
Because when
and
a
like, and
quartz
like I s
watch does that, that's not a bad thing. That's
it doesn't
just
hurt you. It
that's
doesn't. I
just
don't.
something they do.
Yeah, I don't think it hurts the accuracy or whatever. Like, it doesn't. It like every time it bounces, it's not like a squirrel dies or something like that. Like it's just something that happens. They solved a problem that didn't really need to be solved,
Yeah,
but yeah, no, Grand Seiko is totally worth it. But like again, I wouldn't necessarily go for the quote unquote maybe cheap. I mean, the nine of courses are definitely the cheapest, although I'm sure you could find older mechanical ones. But I would seriously look at the nine of quartz models for Grand Seiko if you hadn't already.
agreed.
Can we switch gears and talk about Rolex? Because Rolex is on the list. We've talked about Rolex a couple of times as not a good example, but I think it depends why you want a Rolex, which is such a fucking loaded question. It's the same reason asking, well, why do you want more chips? I just fucking want more chips, dude. Like, what?
It's more
You
chips.
know what I mean? I just want more. Fuck you. I just want more chips. I want chips without guilt, dick. Like, I'm really hungry. I just want some chips. But I think for the most part, if you ask someone why you want a Rolex, they'll say, I wanted to signify this big thing I did, or to me, it will make me feel like I made it. Like and you and I in the pre-show were even talking about that. I was talking about that in reference to the bluesy. Like I was talking to you about figuring out some way, in my 40s, which I'm approaching, of saving somehow towards the end game purchase of the bluesy, and to me, it represents that symbol of quote unquote end game. Is that the best way for me to spend $14,000? No, I should probably donate it. That's the best way for me to use it, honestly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I think Rolex for a lot of people is that brand. However, if you are really looking at it financially, for the object that you get, is it worth it? For the most part, obviously no. But I think there are some options. If you just felt like owning a Rolex was a big deal, you can totally make that work with the Air King models. I think specifically the 14,000. It's the 14,000, right? Came out in like the mid/early 90s as an update from the one that was in production for like 30 years or whatever.
Yep, that's the one.
You can find them for amazing prices on sites like Tropical Watches and a lot of the other big Tropical Watches just focuses specifically like primarily on like Rolexes and stuff. They have other things, but primarily just Rolexes. But you can also, I think for the most part, find Air Kings on other websites. But you can be into an Air King for like, I don't know, $2,000 or $3,000. I think maybe $4,000 depending on it. And there's all kind of different dial versions and things like that. And so if you're not familiar with the Air King, it's a model that's made in sort of commemoration of Rolex's history with the RAF. And so it's a very, very simple classic Rolex shape, very simple hands, very clean dial. It's not a Submariner. It's not a big bulky watch. There's no rap videos about it. There's not a lot of like Instagram hype like shit. No one's jewel encrusting Air Kings, although I think that'd be fucking hilarious if someone did.
A rainbow Air King
would
be pretty wild.
Yo, dog! I spent $1,500 on this Air King and then $100,000 to encrust it in in these jewels, but because to me it is very difficult for Rolex to have an appropriate conversation about the idea of value. But if it is just very important for you to own a Rolex, I would look at an Air King. You can get into it for not. Okay, obviously $3,000 is a lot of fucking money, but for a Rolex, not that much money.
Yeah, I think a lot of people look to Rolex also because, and this is maybe just a very, maybe because I heard it growing up, a 90s thought process. Like, people would just say, "Oh, I want a nice watch, so I'm going to get a Rolex."
Right.
If that's the baseline, you can get a nice watch anywhere. You can get a nice San Martin. Honestly, that feels super super awesome.
Well, because we have to dissect what people mean by nice watch. I need something that is high quality, that someone would potentially be impressed by. I think that's what people mean when they say nice watch. Will other people be impressed by it? And then is it not going to crap out on me? Like, is it going to fall apart as soon as I wear it for a week? And to your point, a shit ton of watches fit that bill.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Not Tudors.
Not Tudors.
Don't fall asleep with your Tudor on, folks. But
so like if owning a Rolex is super important, I would 100% check out the Air King 14,000. Now, if you wanted to spend, because the thing is also like it hits the story aspect. The Air King hits the story aspect. RAF pilots, World War II, all that fun stuff. You can even look a little more into the history of Rolex's partnership, or at least not collaboration, but like Rolex's relationship with RAF pilots specifically, who were captured over enemy lines and things like that. It's super fascinating. Now, if you wanted to spend a little bit more money and you wanted a Rolex, but you didn't want to spend like $14,000 or even $6,000 or $7,000 for like a entry level like Oyster, what are they called?
Oyster Perpetual?
Oyster Perpetuals, thank you.
Yeah.
You could spend between $4,000 and $5,000, maybe a little over $5,000, get a Rolex Explorer 1, which to me is very close to a perfect everyday watch. The actual perfect everyday watch. The Rolex Explorer 1.
It's all I want. It's
right?
And it's not unreasonable. So I was telling you that I got the call again. We had a whole episode on this. And the call I got was for a $17,000 Sea Dweller, which looks ridiculous on my wrist.
Immediately checked your PayPal pay later limit. You're like, how much can I push this?
It's not 17,000. I'll tell you that much. They will need an income update for that.
That's awesome.
And then I was
offered, you got the call again, right?
I was offered a freaking Sky Dweller. I'm like, dude, you know what I want.
Do you guys hate me? I don't understand.
Keep telling you. But I was flattered that he called me again. It was so nice. Really, really nice guy. But I obviously just still have to let him, I don't know.
So what do you want them to call you for?
The Explorer 1. The new one.
You want you overtly want the new one.
Yeah, because
nice.
It's pretty much fundamentally unchanged from the 14270 and the 6-digit version. It's just a little, the bracelet, it's got a modern bracelet basically, and a newer movement.
Because really, just for folks who at home who are, just so you're aware, I was referencing buying one used for between $4,000 and $5,000. Yeah. The one that you're talking about is not $4,000 to $5,000.
No, it's not.
That's what I'm, so yeah, I just want to make sure no one's gonna like start like going to Rolex.com and trying to find the Rolex Explorer 1 and then send me, angry letters.
What is it? 124270 Rolex Explorer. This watch is supposed to be 7,500 new, but it's not.
It's not.
It's not.
So
unless I get that call.
Unless you get the call. But at the same time, if it's unchanged, if the biggest difference is the bracelet, could you potentially see yourself also being enticed by getting a 14270 used? If it's in excellent condition, box papers, under $5,000.
I'd probably try to get the 114270.
That's the newer one. The 30 or no, 40 millimeter?
No, that one's also 36.
36. Okay.
But I think the movement is a little newer. People have had some trouble with the older ones. So I'd probably go for something like that. But gosh, the new one is just, it's such a, it messes with your mind because you're holding it and you're like, oh, this is just like the older Explorers that I've held, but it's not. It's brand new. 124270. That's the newest one. And like, I have cool dive watches, man. I don't need a Submariner, but if it were Rolex for me, if it were Rolex for me, it would be the Explorer 1.
Yeah, let me look at this thing here. Yeah, it looks exactly like all the other ones.
I think the dial's a little different. They did something with the indexes.
I'm sure there's some nuances. That's also the really funny thing about certain brands. Certain brands. Let me just move this here.
But you're right. There's no reason for me to want the new one.
Let me close that. Riverside's giving me a weird pop up. Okay, yeah. Well, I was gonna say this is another facet of some luxury watch brands. If you look at a model from the 80s and a model now of the same watch, and it's virtually unchanged, except maybe the indices are a little closer together, or this is a little further from that. That is a luxury watch brand thing. Small movements are big deals.
Yeah.
A lot of the times. And so I think in the case of the Rolex Explorer format, the Rolex Explorer 1 format you're talking about, that's what we're seeing now. But yeah, if you wanted to spend a little bit more, if you're in the market for a used Rolex, you wanted to spend a little bit more, I would totally get a Rolex Explorer 1.
Yeah.
Or put your name on the list and wait for the call.
Yeah.
To get the newer one.
Maybe I'll be offered what do you think they'll offer next for me? I don't know.
So what you were offered? What was the first one you were offered? Sea Dweller.
Sea Dweller, yeah.
Okay, and the second one was, what was it?
Sky Dweller.
Sky Dweller. I don't know. Maybe that purple Oyster Perpetual with the balloons on it. What was that one?
That'd be wild.
just something fucking dumb that like is totally not you. You know what I mean?
Oh gosh. Whatever.
So yeah, if Rolex is important to you, I would, and if you want to stay under $5,000, use Air King 14,000 or Rolex Explorer. Yeah, one of those. Well, either one of those, in my opinion.
I'm gonna see Tropical Watch right now.
Yeah, go. There's. I go. I literally go to that website once a week just to kind of look to see what's going on. To make sure no one bought the bluesy that I'm looking at.
There's a 14,270 for 54.50.
It's a little bit higher than I want, but it's probably fucking pristine, right?
It looks pretty good. It's a 1999.
Sweet. We talked about Omega. We talked about Grand Seiko. We talked about Panerai. Talked about Tudor. Oh, interesting. Here is an orologically philosophical question for you. So, Michael, I don't know how long we've been recording for because we now have 2 recordings. Do we still have time to talk?
Yeah, we do. But just I'm here for the ride, man.
Okay, cool.
It's fun.
In the definition of a luxury watch brand, so one that potentially, by a traditional luxury watch brand, so maybe they operate to like high engineering tolerances. They've been around for a long time. They potentially have a long history as well. They're tied to also like cultural and societal movements and things like that. By these definitions, is Longines a luxury watch brand? In the same conversation of Omega, Tudor, Rolex. And if you're not aware, the reason I'm asking this is because Longines is probably the most affordable watch brand that I have on this luxury watch brand list. Like, you can get a Longines for way less. Like, you can get a Hydra Conquest for like $1,500 or $1,000, depending on the model.
So this is interesting. The way they use this in their language, architecture, and framework. Longines calls themselves quiet luxury.
Oh, that's them trying to be stale trendy. That was like that's like that quiet luxury had its moment, I think.
Yeah.
I still think it's a thing. They're certainly not quiet. I think the meaning might be a little bit lost of what they mean by quiet luxury.
Yeah, I think it's luxurious in the sense that they're still expensive watches, you know.
They are expensive watches, yes, 100%. Yeah.
Luxurious in the sense that they're completely unnecessary. You can get a lot of
I forgot about that criteria.
You can get a lot of the Longines experience in other watches from, I don't know, watch dives.
I'm going to say it. Tissot.
Tissot, yeah.
Tissot's are great, dude, in my opinion, you know?
Yeah, and
I think my classification of them also is purely because they're so old. It's like a 200+ year old watch brand.
1832.
That's a lot of fucking years. That's like way more years than I've been alive, which to me
Yeah,
means
me
it's a
too.
lot of years.
Me too. Bought by the Swatch Group in 83. I don't know. I think they are
I think they are.
a luxury brand.
I feel like some people think they aren't because they're quote unquote cheap. And you could
Yeah.
just walk into a fucking mall. You could walk into a mall. I can walk into a mall and buy a Longines right now.
Not that pulsometer.
Not the not the monopusher, the pulsometer. Oh man, we
Not
saw
that
it.
watch.
We saw it when we were both terrifically poor back in the day.
And we never saw it again.
No. Someone listens to the show has it and like messaged us after we were talking about it.
Yeah.
Right? Or did I imagine that? Did I just have like a fever dream?
No, you're right.
I think that happened. That's funny. But for the context of the article that I put together, I said Longines was a luxury brand. I do think it's worth having the conversation because the problem is you could potentially make the argument for a lot of watch brands to be luxury watch brands. But I think Longines is still probably, in my opinion, one of the most affordable luxury watch brands like out there. If your main focuses are, I want something Swiss, I want something with history, I want something crafted with really good QC to a high degree of engineering detail, and I want something with a movement that I can trust. Longines uses ETA movements, like as a Swatch brand. I just prevented us from getting hundreds of angry emails by calling them a Swatch watch brand. As a Swatch Group brand, they have ETA movements, and to me that's more perspective than an in-house Tudor movement, which is made of like Fruit Loops or whatever the fuck. I don't know why they keep breaking on you. You know what I mean?
That's true. But if you want to buy, so if that stuff is important to you, Longine's great. The downside of Longines, I think, if you're somebody who's, and we talked about this with Rolex, oh, you buy a Rolex because you want to impress a certain group. If you're trying to impress the Red Bar meetup or whatever,
oh, they'll laugh at you. I mean, it depends on your, because every time we say something like that, someone's like, "My Red Bar's cool." Yeah, I'm not about your Red Bar. I'm talking about other people's Red Bar. All right.
Okay, not Red Bar, but those people, those people at that group who always show up and they act like that. You're probably not going to impress anyone, and that really shouldn't be your end game, honestly.
Don't buy a Longines if you're trying to impress watch assholes.
Yeah.
It will but to your point, Michael, the point of you buying a watch not to be to impress watch assholes. Like again, if so, then I guess in terms of design and things like that, what are the pros of Longines? Like, what would attract someone to Longines as a brand? Obviously, like I said before, Swiss made, price, all that fun stuff. I do think the Hydro Conquest pieces are pretty interesting. I also still really love their heritage chronographs. For like around
those.
around $2,000-3,000, you can get some really cool automatic mechanical chronographs.
And they have a newer collection. I'm scared to bring it up on screen share, so I won't.
Just tell me, I'll Google it.
But it's the maybe I can send you a signal link. It's the Master Collection, they call it, and it's around.
Maybe that's what I meant when I said heritage.
Yeah, Master Collection, time only, with a center.
Oh, these things, yeah, dude. Here, here's our new screen share. Reject all. There you go. I'm just holding my fucking phone up.
They got those brigade looking numerals. It looks like a Calatrava,
a little bit, yeah. They are brigade-esque. You have very fine sort of leaf style hands. Yeah, this thing is lovely. $2,600, 38 millimeters. Wow.
Yeah, that's a very nice watch.
How thin or thick is this watch? Now I have to know. 10 millimeters. Okay, I'm not mad at that.
Pretty cool.
That's pretty cool.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, I think there are probably some Longines that aren't quote unquote worth it, but I think if you know and do a little bit of, if you know what you're looking for and do a little bit of research, and you say to yourself, okay, a similar watch like this from Omega might be $5,000 or $6,000.
Yeah.
Please don't write to me and say, well, one's master axle chronometer and one's not. I don't think most people give a fuck. Like, I literally, like, if you just want a watch that looks a certain way, no one cares. No one cares what's on the inside. You know what I mean?
You know
Like,
what I like about them?
this thing would rock.
They as a brand, I don't see them hamming up any kind of crazy story about themselves.
No.
Besides the horse thing, right? They're the
what they do. Does every watch contain the blood of a horse? What's the horse thing?
They have like some kind of equestrian tie, which I think I've seen before. But other than
that's funny.
You know,
no. Well, maybe that's what they mean by quiet luxury. They just don't really say. maybe that's what they mean quiet. Maybe that's the thing they think quiet luxury means. They just don't say anything. No, you're totally right. I think the idea of not leaning too much into the story, they tend to just focus on presenting themselves as classic watch designs, and like letting you just sort of feel that in a sense almost keeps them more accessible, because you don't want like, oh, Longines says they're about equestrian polo. I don't really like that, so I'm not going to buy it. Like a story in a situation, a story could preclude someone from purchasing a watch depending on what the story is.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So, but no, you're right. They don't ham it up with that, with at least not overtly, as folks like you and I, and all the other kind folk at home or in your car or wherever the fuck you are listening. As folks like us who ingest watch content, I've never seen someone from Longines lovingly talking about moving the designs from one part of Switzerland to the other to escape some kind of Swiss chard famine. I have no fucking idea. Like something stupid. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was trying to think of Switzerland's version of the potato famine, and that was the first thing I thought of.
I think you're right. I think there might have been a chard famine at some point. I can back you up on that.
Thanks, bro. Thanks, man. God damn it.
I can back you up on that. I just have never fallen in love with one. You know,
that's totally fair, because I think because they aren't overtly, they don't aggressively lean towards something, which makes it very hard for you and I, who have a good sense of our taste and things we like, to really latch onto them. I only latched onto that Longines because I have a very, very strong hard on for pulse meters, for pulsometers.
Yeah.
That was the only thing. It wasn't the porcelain dial or the mono pusher chronometer. It could have been a 15-button puncher chronometer. I don't give a fuck. It just had a pulse meter.
Yeah.
That was the most interesting thing about that watch. You know what I mean?
Lacquer also, the colors were just
that's
so
what it
bold.
was. Yeah, it was like a lacquer dial, and you know, it had pseudo like soldered wire lugs to make it look old timey. I'm like, yeah, listen, I don't care. It's got a pulse meter. All right, you put a pulse meter on a Big Mac, I'm buying a Big Mac. All right. I am not a complicated man. Okay. But no, but to your point, Longines is very nondescript. But if someone sees a Longines watch that they like because they individually like that design, like, get it. Who cares if it's not the watch that took a dump at the top of Everest or something? Or who cares if it's not like, you know, making folks reimagine how we, you know, create, you know, escapement mechanisms. Like, who gives a fuck, dude? Like, it's cool. True. It's cool. And if you have $2,600 to buy that particular one that you shared, fucking rad, do it. I would encourage you to look for a used, though.
Yeah. That's another brand that takes a hit.
Most do.
I think they all do, with the exception of AP, Patek, Rolex,
fuckers,
Vacheron.
All right.
Gosh.
What about Tag Heuer? Tag Heuer is interesting. I really want to get a tag. But again, I want to get the cheapest ass tag I can find.
I think Tag Heuer tries to push a luxury story that isn't there. Where if they just didn't try as hard, it would make much more sense to me.
What's the luxury story to make sure we're on the same page?
I don't know. I think, you're going to be this exotic race car driver if you have this. And, we have all these connections to this type of sport, and we're super high performing instruments tied to that space.
You know what I love? Every time I go into like a Tag Heuer store, if I see a Tag Heuer ad, it's like an actor or one of their ambassadors, and like they're wearing like cool racing leather jackets, or they have like racing gloves with all the fucking like colander holes, or I don't know what the fuck call, like air holes in it or whatever. It's like cool, sexy racing. I think the actual real experience of like racing in the 60s and 70s, like it's just sweaty. It's just sweaty dudes in like big ass like clothes, and they're just like yelling and shit, and everything smells disgusting. They're just dying. Everything smells like asphalt and stuff. And there's some rich guy in the stand saying, yes, this is to my liking. I think that's actually the high performance racing experience that a lot of Tag was probably, or excuse me, a lot of Heuer was probably built on. Like, the idea that you actually, the word high performing, I think, is what's doing most of the lifting there. This watch is as high performing as a high performing sports car engine. And like, you too will be as cool as the race car drivers that paved the way.
Yeah,
for a small price.
I think maybe the overuse of those celebrity spots. Yeah. Maybe that's what's kind of nestled in my mind when I think of Tag Heuer. And I think I wish they didn't try that hard, because they just make really cool watches that you and I both consistently like.
Yeah. Actually, I somewhat rescind what I said before. Longines is not one of the most affordable luxury watch brands out there. I would put Longines and Tag. You can find a Tag for under $1,000.
Yeah.
Straight up.
Just old and funny, old, really cool ones that they just reissued. Those Formula ones with the plasticky looking bezels. People are going nuts over those right now. And I'm sure the prices are going up because of it. But I think those watches just by themselves stand up properly as good, luxurious products that don't necessarily need so much hype or celebrity propulsion behind them,
Maybe Tag Heuer can lend some of its hype bullshit to Longines, because if Longines seems to be lacking in it, and Tag Heuer seems to be in excess of it. But the thing is, you're totally right. But that's also, I think that also is what ends up helping to spread the appeal. Like, if I'm watching fucking, I don't know, water polo, and I don't know anything about watches, and I see a Tag Heuer commercial for water polo because the coach of one of the teams wears one, maybe in a year or two, when I want to get a nice watch also, maybe I'll think of Tag. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, I think in their minds, the more people they can get in front of, like, the better, which obviously, like, makes sense. But for you and I, who are damaged watch folk, we do recognize the watches speak enough on their own. Like, I want less bullshit. Like, I really want the Tag Heuer website to be less flashy.
Yeah.
Like, I really just want to go and look. Do you ever go to the Tag website and you're like, oh my God, dude, I fucking get it. I get it. I really just want to look at your watch.
I just keep seeing Ryan Gosling everywhere. And it worked for them, because I'm sure we both know somebody or of somebody that, they graduated high school and their parents got them a nice watch because they wanted the nice watch idea came up, and it obviously wasn't going to be a Rolex. So if that, it's going to be a Tag. I think the Tag is naturally the logical move that you also make.
I mean, not even just for folks that like graduate. You also just get people who are like in their 20s and 30s, and maybe they got a promotion, maybe they closed a big deal, and maybe they sold their business and they wanted to get a nice watch, but they didn't want to get a Rolex. Like, if you're, you know what I mean? Like, I was talking to someone recently, and they're not a watch person, but they had a moment in their lives where they wanted to get a nice watch, and they went and they bought a Monaco.
Oh gosh, I love that watch.
Like that's really fucking cool. That's awesome. You just went to the store and you looked around and you saw Monaco. You tried it. He said I tried it on. It fit my wrist great. It felt great. I was happy with the price, and I walked out. I'm like, that's great. That's like the perfect watch buying story. You didn't go to Reddit. You didn't go and look on Instagram like pictures and look like, oh, what's the lug width from my wrist is more flat than round. Like, no, fuck you. You just went to the store. You tried it on. You were fine with the price. But I think that's the difficult part. You were fine with the price. If you're ever in a situation where you're purchasing a watch and you're not super comfortable with the price, but you also don't want to feel like you're wasting your time or like wasting someone else's time, if that the end of the conversation for your watch buying journey is if you're not comfortable with the price. If you're not comfortable with the price, you are not buying that watch. If you buy that watch, you made a mistake. You have to be comfortable. Don't use Panerai's money. Don't use Omega's money. Have you ever had someone say that to you before in the fucking stores or the boutiques or whatever?
Yeah.
Like, oh, the great news is you can finance today and you can use Omega's money. It's like, yeah, it might be Omega's money, but it's still fucking, I'm paying it. What are you talking about, dude? Like, that's crazy. Like, don't finance a watch. Like save up if you want. Buy what makes sense to that's affordable. That's the other thing also that I think really fucks people up with the luxury watch thing. You feel like you have to spend a lot of money to get what you said before, a nice watch. I want to get a nice watch. Like, you can spend however the fuck much a Peanuts Timex Weekender is. It's a nice watch. I think it's cool. They're fun.
Is tacky the opposite of luxurious? Or no?
It depends on your definition of luxurious. Because to me, the opposite of luxurious would be rugged. Because I'm thinking luxurious as something that, you treat with quote unquote respect and that like symbolizes something. But I could see tacky. I've seen some luxury watches that are tacky as fuck, dude. I don't know, man. I don't think tacky is precluded by the amount of money you spend.
That's a very, very good point. But this website is tacky.
Which website are you looking at?
The tag website.
It's so fucking bad. I just need less pictures of handsome men in interesting lighting and more pictures of watches. That's it. That's it, dude. If I want to look at beautiful pictures of Ryan Gosling, I will go and Google beautiful pictures of Ryan Gosling.
I have a folder.
I have a drive. Okay. I have an external hard drive specifically for this purpose. I am only interested in looking at photos of watches. Yeah. Show me watches.
Man, Monaco is quite a watch to get for a person that's not into watches, though. That's
here's the thing. He has the only reason the conversation came up is because I called him out on it. Usually he wears an Apple Watch. But he like gestured, and I'm just like, "Oh, are you wearing a Monaco?" He goes, "Holy shit! How could you see that?" I'm like, "It's my job. It's actually my job, dude."
I've gotten that reaction too.
He's like, "How do you? It's just like pixels. How can you even see it?" Like, it's my job, bro. Yeah. He got one of the black dial ones from the 2000s. I don't think those were that bad.
No, that's true. The crazy one now, it's 8100. It's the
holy fuck balls, dude.
It's like the super period correct one. With the crown on the left side.
Right.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah, no, he bought it. But the thing is, he didn't go in there wanting an authentic Monaco. He just saw the Monaco. It was black dial, stainless steel case, a lot of polish, black leather strap. He tried it on. He liked the price. Sweet. He walked out. There's the perfect watch buying story. You know what I mean? So I think if someone wants a quote unquote nice watch and you're not super cut up about the brand, but you definitely don't want to spend a lot of money, I would totally look at tags. Here's the thing also. And if you don't give a shit about quartz versus automatic, because the more affordable side of tags are going to be quartz all day, hands down. If you don't give a fuck what's in your watch, and if you're not a watch person, I would encourage you to just get a quartz movement. It's the most logical thing to do. Get a quartz tag. They are super cool. They're super fun. It's a Swiss watch brand. It's quote unquote luxury. You can even look at pictures of Ryan Gosling in the store while you're fucking doing it. If that's part of the boutique experience you want, get a tag. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think growing up, we I don't know if it was just the advertising that's burned into my mind. I feel like was more quartz heavy with tag when I was growing up.
Really?
So
Yeah.
maybe something about feeling that, knowing that just draws me to the quartz ones in adulthood. But oh man, these new Formula One solar
They're
graphs
fun.
are just
Oh, the solar graphs are really cool.
such a hit, man.
Mm-hmm.
I They're
I'm
sold
so
out.
happy they're doing more with the solar movement.
Yeah,
They're so what?
they're sold out.
Oh,
Just like
fuck. That
yeah,
sucks.
all of the models. Oh,
That
it's
sucks.
so cool. Anyways,
So there's one last watch brand on our list. I think there's one last brand that we haven't talked about on the list.
I'm
It's
scared to
interesting.
look.
Well, it's. I mean, don't be scared. It's Nomos. I put Nomos on the list.
Okay.
We've handled Nomos. We've reviewed Nomos before. It's a luxury watch brand that I think we're comfortable saying for what you get, it's worth it, depending on the situation. Now, the review of the Nomos that I think we highlighted is of the Zurich World Time, which is pressing the price point a little bit. Retail about $6,100.
Hmm.
But you can get like Nomos Club campuses. Dude, it should be under $2,000.
Not even the campus. They have a base club, which I think is less than the campus. Let's see. 36 millimeters.
Nice.
Mm. Oh yeah, the campus is 1780.
That's awesome, dude. So the thing with Nomos, if you're not familiar, Nomos is a German watch brand, relatively new, especially in the grand scheme of other German watch brands that they're kind of operating around. I think they were found a little after the fall of the Berlin Wall. I'm trying to remember. I can't quite remember, but a large thing with Nomos is this idea of Bauhaus design, Bauhaus architecture. So simplicity, but still a hint of playfulness, blah blah blah, and everything like that. Everyone, I think Bauhaus is beaten to fucking death at this point. But Nomos to me is really interesting in that it is actually an example of an in-house movement watch brand where I actually would trust those in-house movements. There's something.
Yeah.
Everything I've heard about them is fantastic.
Yeah.
Like it is a purely in-house movement, which I have never heard anyone having any issues with. If you have heard of someone having issues with, please let me know. I'll make a post on Instagram about this episode, so you can leave your all caps response there if you like. But and I also so to me, depending on how you define the term, I think Nomos is more quiet luxury than Longines. Like
I was
you
about to
could.
say it.
You know what I'm saying? Like there's some models that you can get where it's just like, unless you know what that watch is, you're gonna think that guy is just wearing, or that girl is just wearing a Daniel Wellington.
Yeah.
Which shouldn't matter to the person wearing the watch because they know they're wearing an awesome fucking watch.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I think Nomos is definitely an interesting brand. I do not like how expensive some of their watches have gotten over the years. Remember just like 10 years ago or so, like a lot of their watches were super affordable. Now they're getting a little expensive.
Yeah,
But you can still find deals.
the more complicated they get. Well, even so, they just came out with the Club Sport Neomatic World Timer,
Let me see that one.
which is actually under 5,000. So
Can I tell you which watch I still love from them? Oh, sorry.
Which one? Oh, the square one.
The Nomos Tetra. Those things are really really cool. But I have a new love. I have a new German love in my life. And we've talked about this watch, so it's not a surprise. It's the Nomos Club Sport in petrol green, 37 millimeters. It's a really cool watch. It is a really cool fucking watch. Nomos Club Sport in petrol green, specifically.
I did not know these world timers. I when these world timers came out this year, I thought they were going to be like 6,000 or 7,000 or something. Just because that can happen when Nomos gets complicated like this, but it's still a lot of money. But I'm surprised to see that it's
under $5,000. Yeah, Oh, these are cool looking. They're kind of freaky looking because like if you're at all familiar with the club line, these look really weird, but they're also kind of fun looking.
Yeah,
you know.
I dig it.
So I think if you want something that's not necessarily quote unquote Swiss or that's something that's like Japanese, if you like the idea of something that's German, and the thing is Germany, I mean, it's not like Germany's quote unquote new to watchmaking. I mean, one of the greatest watch manufacturers of all time is German. There's no getting around that. Plus, I mean, Glashütte or Glashütte. I was corrected on my pronunciation of Glashütte.
Really?
Glashütte recently. I was corrected. It's Glashütte. If that is fucking incorrect, please someone tell me. Because I feel like a piece of shit when that person corrected me.
The whole industry says it wrong, probably.
Do you remember the Balanced Bugle episode? We did a Balanced Bugle piece on like the tag Heuer pronunciation. I think it was like how to pronounce tag Heuer.
I think so.
That was so funny. It's awesome. I love the Balanced Bugle. But I think of the German watch brands out there, there's like Mate Tissot, I think, and there's a lot of other random German watch brands and things like that. But if you want one that I think is actually doing something special and particularly unique, and definitely more in this kind of quiet luxury vibe, I think Nomos makes a ton of sense. I would check out the Nomos Club Campus models. I think that's where it's at right now.
Nobody's gonna ask you about that watch.
No,
that's
it's so it's appropriately under the radar. That's the point.
That's really
They're
cool.
really cool. They're really, really cool. That's it. That's where we are, man. Like there are some brands that are worth it. We haven't talked about brands that aren't worth it.
I can think of a few.
How much time do you guys have at home? I think there's some brands that are riding on either prestige or perceived value, or they think if they just look cool, they can charge a fuck ton of money. I don't really know. I think you and I both have you have more strong feelings than I do with Mont Blanc, but I think Mont Blanc is one of those things that's hard to justify the price for in certain instances as a luxury watch purchase. You know what I mean?
I'm honestly, maybe that's a different episode. Because, yeah, I'm thinking of a brand that starts with A and ends in Piguet these days. So, isn't that crazy?
I mean, that's not crazy at all. I mean, it's especially contingent in some of the things that we've been talking about today. Wait, hold on. You said. Yeah, AP.
Audemars Piguet. Yeah.
Okay, AP. Good. I for some reason I hallucinated different letters for a second there. Are APs worth it? I don't know. It depends on the situation.
Yeah, I have thoughts. Maybe that can be a separate episode.
I think that's totally a separate episode. I love it.
falling out of love.
I think it's totally. I mean, we could have it be a larger conversation around. So when people say AP, obviously everyone's going to associate it with the Royal Oak. When you say AP and not worth it, you're speaking specifically in the context of the Royal Oak.
I mean, what are they? Like they sell the Royal Oak. Like what else do they do?
Just change your name to Royal Oak Piguet. All right.
Yeah.
How much do you need to spend on an integrated stainless steel bracelet sports watch?
Yeah.
That's the question. Like that, if you break down the story of Audemars Piguet outside of the watch itself and just look at it as the watch as an object, how much do you need to spend to get something cool? I will just give a very heartfelt, non-shameless plug for my review of the Christopher Ward the 12 in titanium, 36 millimeter, fucking fantastic watch.
Yeah.
I have a video review. Go check it out. I potentially unnecessarily pontificated and ruminated a lot on the idea of a stainless steel bracelet, integrated bracelet, a sports watch. But that watch in particular, I think checks off so many boxes. It's around $1,800 in titanium, but the stainless steel versions are I think around like $1,200.
Yeah, and they make the C12 Loco right now, which is bananas. You should check that out.
I don't know what that is. Let me see our Ward Loco, like exactly how I think it would be spelled?
just like Four Loco. Yep.
God damn it.
Take a look at that.
Oh my
watch.
god.
Yeah.
What is this thing? Wow. Now sold out. Blah 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 blah. Bel Canto, Loco, Open Dial, integrates magnetic, explores highly cumulative compatibility. This thing's under $5,000. Wow. Dude, look at this fucking thing.
They're legitimately out of control as a brand.
Come on, Christopher Ward.
Good job.
We got to get Mike Pearson on the show.
Yeah, I'd love to.
Damn, hell yeah, that's so cool, man. But yeah, that's it. So let us know your thoughts on the show. Let us know your thoughts on all the brands we talked about. If you think there's anything we're totally wrong about, I want to hear all your mouth frothy, neck beard opinions. I mean, maybe not all of them. Maybe the ones that are actually worth listening to. So I'll let you self judge which ones are worth listening to or not. But I think it's a conversation we have to have, whether this is your 10th watch or it's your first quote unquote nice watch. Please do not spend money because you think you have to spend money on something nice. Obviously, all the watches we talked about today are expensive. Like, everything from those $1,700 club campuses all the way up to like the fucking, Seamasters and bullshit. Like, these are all expensive watches, but particularly when your search is dialed in on the idea of a luxury watch, like please do your research, ask proper questions, and really think hard about what you're doing. So, what's funny? That disclaimer I just shared is totally in the antithesis of that story I shared about that Monaco purchase. That person just walked into a store. They were celebrating something they thought was cool. They knew Tag was a brand they walked by all the time. They would try to watch on, and they walked out with it. I think a lot of it just comes about being comfortable with the price point.
Yeah.
If you see a watch you like and it's $5,000 and you immediately kind of squirm and you're like, I don't know, and you go and try to learn, that's actually really fascinating. If you learn the price of a watch and then that makes you squirm and you research it to justify the price, you're trying to convince yourself to buy that watch. Right?
Yeah, I can see that. It's a lot of feelings, Kaz.
It's a lot of feelings.
And that's what luxury purchases are. They're they're purely emotional at the end of the day. Whether it's well researched or not, it's still an unnecessary emotional purchase, I would say.
Mm-hmm. So I search your feelings. I would search your emotions, and I would really try to get a sense of why you want to make a purchase, being comfortable with what's happening in terms of the price, and like, dude, don't fall for marketing stuff. Don't fall for a sales pitch. You should never walk into a boutique uncertain and then be certain after talking with a salesperson. It's not their job to be your friend. They're not your friend. No one's your friend. Just accept. The sooner you accept that, the easier so many things are going to get. You know what I mean?
The coffee's always free.
So. The coffee is not just free for you. It's free for any piece of shit that walks in that fucking store. All right? Because that's how it works, man. It's cheap coffee in a nice glass or a cup. You might just put it in like a fucking paper cup. Sometimes it depends. I don't know. Did you ever do champagne? Did they ever give you champagne?
I've never gotten champagne. I did get the Japanese whiskey.
I was gonna say I did that too in Miami. It was lovely. That was a lovely experience. The Japanese whiskey tasting.
I didn't have to buy anything.
I did it when I bought the Blue Lagoon Samurai. Do you remember that?
Yeah, that's cool.
Great watch.
Somebody else bought something and I got to just tag along. It's pretty cool.
Perfect. Tune into our episode. What was episode 280, 282 or 283? Holiday watch spotting. Oh, no, yes, holiday watch spotting because you. Yeah, tune into episode 283 to hear Michael talk about that story.
Yep.
Holiday watch spotting. Well, let's do this. We'll let everyone go. I literally have no idea how fucking long this episode is. I could keep talking to you, Michael, because all I want to do is talk to you about watches and feelings.
We'll see how to merge two Riverside clips and figure out how this episode posts.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. But let's do this. Thank you so much for listening to this show. Episode 284, all luxury watch brands, even worth it. Obviously, some are, with some caveats. Some you should absolutely stay away from. Stay tuned for a future episode, Falling Out of Love, Aldomalpique. But with that said, again, let us know your thoughts. Hit us up on YouTube. This is going to go up there. Hit us up on Instagram if you like as well. You can try emailing us. I wouldn't right now. We got to get a little bit of a handle on the
DM us.
You could DM us if you are a sex bot looking for a good time, or if you like my feed and you also are a sex bot. Yeah, sure, you could DM us. That's fine. All right, Michael, is it that sad time?
It is, but we're back. Thanks for listening.
We're back.
My name is Mike.
And this is Kaz. You have been listening to Two Broke Watch Snobs. Later.